Rachel Lees. I'm a lecturer in language and literacy in the School of Education here at the University of Glasgow. Today I'm going to talk to you about becoming a teacher and specifically about teacher identity. Our teacher identity is a complex subject as it draws from our personal and our professional identities that merge to create the way of being in a classroom, the way of being as a teacher. Let's start by thinking about the fundamental question: what does it mean to be a teacher? Who are we as teachers? Are we just people who stand at the front of the class and deliver content, deliver our knowledge? And are the students just waiting to receive that? Or is it something more profound? Are we something more than that? Do we have to develop relationships that are intricate and complex? Do we have to build up trust and respect with the students in our classroom? I would encourage you to see teaching and learning as a complex process and one where we have to both learn and unlearn. I would ask you to think about who you are as a person and your social, your cultural, your educational experiences that have helped to form the person you are and therefore the teacher you are. It's by looking at all of those complexities and thinking about how they impact our positionality, how they impact our way of being in the classroom that's really important when we're becoming a teacher. We draw on Carthagen's onion model of reflection, which is a powerful framework for understanding the different layers of who you are as a teacher. Carthagen proposes 6 levels of reflection, beginning with the outermost layer, your environment, and moving inward through your behaviour, competencies, beliefs, identity, and mission. Take a moment to reflect. What are your values, your core values, and how are they going to impact your practice in the classroom? The General Teaching Council for Scotland, the GTCS, propose some values for teachers working in Scotland, and this is something that every teacher in Scotland signs up to as part of their registration. They ask that we focus on social justice, on integrity, and trust and respect. So what does that mean for you as a teacher? Your identity isn't something that you can just put on like a jumper, change every day. It's something that evolves as part of us as we grow as people, and so therefore it also grows as we are teachers. And if we focus on those core values of trust and respect, of integrity, of social justice, then we can really get to the core of what's important to us in teaching. If we look a little bit deeper into Carthagen's onion model, our reflections on our behaviour and the environment, that's what happens in our classroom, that's how we respond, how we react. They're surface level considerations. They are, of course, important considerations for a teacher when we're reflecting on our practice, but we tend to get stuck on those outermost layers. And actually, to get deeper into the why behind what we're doing, we have to look at the innermost layers of the onion. So the middle layers ask us to look at our competencies and our beliefs. So what do we believe as a teacher and why do we believe that? So for example, if I have the belief that all children have the abilities to succeed in my classroom, how is that going to impact the planning, the teaching and learning that goes on within my room, within my classroom? And if we look even deeper still, we can go to our mission. We can go to our core values and we can go to the things that we hold closest to our identity in Carthagen's model. And that helps us to think about the bigger picture in teaching when sometimes it's all too easy to get caught up in the day-to-day. Thinking about why you chose the profession of teaching is a hugely important question to ask ourselves. And I think quite often that gets lost. Sometimes we forget to think about, why did I come into teaching? What impact do I want to have on society? Because as teachers, we do have an impact on society. We are what people would call change agents. We have the potential and the power to influence the communities that we live within, the children in our classroom, and we can have a real impact on society. And I think sometimes that feels disconnected from the day-to-day environment that we're working in, what happens in the classroom, and those behaviours that we have. We can reflect on our own behaviours. Should I have dealt with that issue in that particular way? Should I have asked a different question to get a better response? We ask those questions of ourselves, but quite often we can feel this idea of being a change agent and that bigger purpose of teaching and how impactful it can be in the world. As part of being a teacher in Scotland, we have to develop as a reflective practitioner. It's a hugely important part of the role because we have to be available and open to change. We have to be open to growth and continuous learning. And we're meant to learn from research and look at how research-informed practice is at the forefront of our minds when we're planning for young people in our class. That's how we're going to deliver world change in education. That's how we're going to improve the outcomes for our most disadvantaged learners. And it's very important that we hold on to that. Authenticity is another hugely important part of our role as a teacher. And to be an authentic teacher is about knowing ourselves. It's about knowing our beliefs, and it's about knowing ourselves so well that we know how to bring that into the classroom, but also know how that differs to our professional identity. Being an authentic teacher is about being true to yourself. So not following someone else's values and standards, and it's not about adopting a persona or adopting a role, playing a character. Actually, the most effective teachers, good teachers, are true to themselves. And that authenticity comes through in the way that we're building relationships with learners in our class. We're building that trust and respect. Learners can tell if we're being true to ourselves or if we're playing a role, if we're being someone else. So that helps us to build connection and to deepen those relationships, and ultimately feeds into excellent teaching and learning in the classroom. What we absolutely don't want in the world is a lack of diversity and experiences and types of teacher. We want teachers to be varied like the world. We want them to be diverse in the way that they approach things. We want learners to experience that diversity and not just one type of teacher or one type of teaching. And that's where, if we look back at that onion model, keeping those core values, those core qualities at the forefront of our minds when we're reflecting can really help us to focus in on how am I being true to myself here? How am I being true to my beliefs about teaching? How am I being true to my values that I hold dear? So it's really important to ask yourself, what kind of teacher do I want to be? Do you want to be patient and kind, empathetic and caring? Perhaps you're someone who wants to lean into your lively and funny personality. Perhaps you're someone who really wants to connect with learners in a way that you never had a connection. And that's often something that we hear student teachers talk about. Teachers who perhaps connected with them or didn't connect with them at school and how that influenced them. Because we know teachers have a huge impact on learners, so our way of being is very important. We always remember that teacher who connected with us, who asked us the right question at the right time. Perhaps you're feeling down and they just approached us with empathy and care, or perhaps humour when we weren't feeling so great. We all know how that helps to build relationships, and that's something that people hold on to in their lives as we move beyond education as well. It's something that we hold on to. And so it's very important to consider that as a teacher, thinking about who you want to be and why that is. Thank you for listening to this mini lecture. I hope it's been interesting for you and it's helped you to think about the reasons that you might want to become a teacher. And I hope that you would come to study with us here at the University of Glasgow in the School of Education. You're most welcome.